Hello dear learners, welcome to SWAYAM NPTEL course on Methodology of Educational Research, and I am Dr. Sarita Anand from Department of Education, Vinay Bhavan, Vishwabharati, Shantiniketan, West Bengal, India. And today we will talk about the module 5 on action research in education. And before going to the lecture 5, we will see the concept covered. Concepts of applied research in education already covered, meaning of applied research, nature, characteristics, objectives, and the research steps conducting in applied research, and also relationship between the basic and applied research have been already discussed. Now we will talk about the concept and meaning of action research. Action research, by its name, it is a systematic reflective process of inquiry conducted by educators to improve their own teaching practices, classroom strategies and educational outcomes. It is both action focused on the change and the research based on the evidence and systematic reflection. So, when we are talking about the action research, it is the process by which practitioners attempt to study their problems scientifically in order to guide, correct and evaluate their decision and actions. In a simpler term, it is research done by the teachers for the teachers and aimed at improving educational practices immediately and directly. It means it emphasizes on the reflection in action while teaching and reflection on action after teaching, and it is done by the stakeholders themselves. It means no outsider can conduct the action research in any other institution. The origin of the concept is attributed to the Kurt Lewin. The Kurt Lewin is the known personality figure in the action research. In 1946, he described it as a comparative research on the conditions and effects of various forms of social action and research leading to social action. So, these provided by the Kurt Lewin in education, it translates into teachers examining their own classroom problems such as low student motivation towards learning, ineffective lesson strategies or classroom discipline, and taking informed and evidence based steps to improve the environment or to solve those immediate problem and giving the immediate solution to those problems. Then the characteristics of action research, I have created this visual with the help of Napkin AI. So, here you can see the characteristics of educational research, especially the action research. Here change oriented, it is change oriented, small scale and context specific, cyclic and dynamic, reflective and self evaluative, and participatory and collaborative. So, when we are talking about the characteristics, action research stands apart from both the basic and applied research because its participatory and practical nature. Main characteristics defined by the Cohen in 2018 is the practical and problem oriented, focused on solving immediate solutions within the educational setting. For example, a teacher investigates why students struggle with writing a report and test new scaffolding technologies or techniques. So, in second one, the participatory and collaborative. Teachers, administrators and sometimes students work together in planning and executing the study. So, this is participatory nature of the action research. Reflective and self-evaluative. The action research, in the action research, the researcher is the part of process continually assessing their own actions and decisions. So, not only for the problems, but also the betterment of their working, they can conduct the action research. The fourth one is cyclic and dynamic. The action research follows a continuous cyclic planning, acting, observing and reflecting, leading to ongoing improvement. It means practical problems, practical solutions, and immediate solution is the main lead of this action research. The fifth one is small scale and context specific. It conducted in a single classroom, department, institution with results mean to improve that specific context. If you have conducted the action research for B.Ed students or M.Ed students, then that will be applicable only for those students, not for generalization. The sixth one is change oriented. It ultimately aims is to transforming the teaching practices, school culture or learners' outcome. John Eliot in 1991 described that action research is the study of social situation with a view to improving the quality of action within it. It means in which system you are working, you can conduct the action research in that system only. The objective of action research. The main objective of action research is to improve the quality of teaching and learning, to solve the immediate classroom or institutional problems, to develop reflective practitioners who use research as a part of their teaching routine, to promote collaboration among teacher, student and the administrator, and to bridge the gap between theory and practice. Remember, the main objective of action research is not only to solve the problem, but also to bring the improvement. If some teacher is teaching well, he can conduct action research to more improvement, to get more insight in his or her teaching with the help of conducting an action research on his or her students, and through the result of that action research he can improve his classroom teaching learning environment. So, in short, the goal of action research is professional growth through inquiry and educational improvement through reflection. Now, the steps of process of action research, this is also prepared with the help of Napkin AI. The content was mine, and this is just providing an interactive picture, and here process of action research is starting with the, like any research starts, the identify the problem, formulate the plan, implement the plan, observe the data, reflect on the results and revise the plan if required. So, these are the steps. We will go one by one. Based as this outlined the action research as a cyclic and iterative process. It means it is ongoing process continually running in our institutions, where the process generally include the following steps. The first step is to identify and defining the problem. The real problem is that to select the title or defining the problem. For the, like the teacher identifies a real and specific classroom problem. For example, students show low participation in group discussion. Nobody is ready to ask the question. So, why they are not asking the question? Why they are not delivering, not try to speak up? So, this can be taken as a identification of the problem, that can be treated as a problem. Then second step is formulating an action plan. The teacher plans through a strategy or intervention based on the relevant theory and prior experiences. For example, introducing cooperative learning techniques or using peer mentoring, or maybe some SDGs, some specific discussion forums and discussion groups can be, focus group discussion can be organized for the this kind of strategies. And the third one is implementing the plan. Whatever planning has been done by the teacher, the plan is put into practice in the classroom. For example, conducting group discussion, like I said, focus group discussions can be organized with the structured role for the students, so that everyone has to take part in it. Then step 4, observing and collecting data. Systematic observation, feedback forms and checklist or student work samples are used to gather evidence. For example, teachers can use the recording how often students participate and how well they are collaborating with their peers. The fifth one is reflecting and interpreting result. In this step, the fifth step, the teacher evaluates what worked, what did not and why. If someone started replying and initiating in that discussion, then what is working? If not replying, what is the problem? Why they are not speaking? So, this can be evaluated by the teachers. For example, discovering that students participate more when topics are relevant to their interest, or maybe they are finding it useful for them to discuss with. The sixth step is revising the plan. Based on the reflections, the teacher modifies the strategies of the teaching and begins a new cycle. This cycle may be like plan, act, observe, reflect and replan. So, it continues until satisfactory improvement is achieved in his research. So, this is the research cycle of the action research, where a teacher, a practitioner, educational practitioner can plan, act, observe, reflect and replan. This is the whole process. The planning is like identifying the problem, writing the objectives and develop the strategy, then act upon it, means implementing the plan for data collection, for observation, for feedback, and whatever they have found, that comes to the observing, where the collected data will be analyzed and they will reflect in the analyzed outcomes and learn. And according to the finding, they will go for the refining strategies based on their findings. So, that is coming under the replan. Kemmis and McTaggart in 1988 called this the spiral of self-reflective cycles. Remember, spiral of self-reflective cycles, illustrating how action research is continuous rather than one-time experimentation. Suppose you have solved one problem at a time, then again you will go for another problem to solve or improve your classroom teaching learning environment. So, this is a cyclic process, and then you will go for the models of action research. There are so many models have been given on the action research, which are having different dimensions, like Kurt Levin's model in 1946. This was the original model, which is showing that planning, acting, observing and reflecting. It was emphasizing on the collective problem solving and social change. The second one is Kemmis and McTaggart model, that was given in 1988, and it was focusing on the spiral of cycles and participatory reflection, encourages shared inquiry and among teachers and learners. Then third one is Stephen Corey's model given in 1953, and this Corey's model was very popular in education setting. Corey emphasized that the teachers are researchers in their own classroom, and the improvement is achieved through experimentation and evaluation, and this model was very famous in the education field. And now we will talk about the types of action research. This visual representation on the type of action research again made with the help of Napkin AI, and there are 4 type of action research I have mentioned here: the institutional or school wide action research, participatory action research, that is called PAR, then individual action research and the collaborative action research. We will go one by one on these 4 types of action research. The first one is individual action research. Here conducted by a single teacher or a researcher to improve their practice. For example, a teacher studies how peer assessment affects students' writing performance. That comes under the individual action research. Then second one is collaborative action research. two or more teachers work together, collaborate together to address a shared issue, shared problem. And for example, a group of teachers studies the integration of ICT tools in science classroom, integration of digital pedagogy in teacher training. So, this kind of action researches are called collaborative action research, where more than two researchers are collaborating with each other on a same goal or objective. Then the third type is institutional or school-wide action research. It is conducted at the level of whole school or the department, and for example, a school investigates ways to enhance the parent involvement in students' learning. That will come under the institutional or school-wide action research. The fourth type is participatory action research, we call it PAR. It includes the collaboration with the wider community or students focusing on employment and social transformation. For example, engaging students to co-research issues like gender bias in textbooks, that can come under the PAR. And now the examples of action research in education. You will find many examples, but I have kept here examples so that you can understand that what kind of researches can be conducted in action research. Okay. So, first example is improving reading comprehension. Suppose a primary teacher observes that the students struggle with the comprehension problem. So, action is to introduce story mapping and guided reading session. Observation: student shows improved ability to summarize and infer. And the reflection level: the teacher refines strategies for vocabulary enhancement. So, example 2 is increasing student engagement in online classes. Suppose you want to conduct action research on this issue. So, a B.Ed faculty member notices low attendance in virtual classes. This was the whole scenario of the COVID pandemic period, where people were connected in the online classes. Students were joining, but they were not attentive. So, what will be the action? Integrates interactive polls, breakout rooms and gamified quizzes. These are the actions to improve the attendance. Result: participation rises from 50 to 85%. What is the reflection? The teacher decides to retain gamification as a core strategy of his or her teaching, so that students' attendance will be increased and interest will be maintained in the class. The example 3 of the action research is enhancing classroom discipline. Suppose a teacher adopts a positive reinforcement system instead of punitive measures. Punishment is not required. So, result is there: behavioral issue dropped significantly. If you are giving the positive reinforcement, motivating your student, then definitely this kind of drop or decreasement will be coming in the student's behavior. So, what is the conclusion? In reinforcement techniques are more effective than the punishment. That is why we suggest that positive reinforcement are very important in school education, especially in every level of education or communication. Positive reinforcement is good for us also, we as a teacher. So, this kind of conclusion is a normal conclusion. So, each of these example illustrates how action research turns problem into opportunity for improvement. So, there are some advantages of action research. Now, we will talk about the different advantages of action research in education. The first advantage is immediate application. Directly, it benefits the classroom or the institution. It empowers the teachers become the researcher and decision makers, and he or she is able to solve their problem, improves educational practices, encourages innovation and experimentation, professional development, promotes reflective teaching and lifelong learning, strengthens school culture, it builds the collaboration and shared accountability among the stakeholders of the institution or the school. And the last one is bridges the theory and practice. It helps educators to apply research based knowledge meaningfully in their working field wherever they are working. So, Corey had stated that the value of action research lies in the change it brings in teachers' thinking. Teachers' thinking is changing, which ultimately improves the learning experiences of students. So, what is the significance of the action research? Significance of action research in teacher education is having many crucial importance or the benefits. So, we will go one by one, like it develops reflective practitioners who continuously improving their teaching, because they are able to solve their daily level problem through the action research. It encourages inquiry based professional learning rather than passive training. It builds the research culture within the educational institution. Teachers are becoming the active researchers. They are trying to fetch out the solution and trying to solve the immediate solution by the stakeholders themselves. So, it aligns with the perfectly with the NEP 2020 or different policy recommendation, which emphasizes innovation, continuous professional development and reflective teaching in our all education system, either it's school system or higher education. For example, student teachers in B.Ed program might conduct mini action research projects on topics like the effect of using digital storytelling in teaching languages, because teacher education department is dealing with the languages also, Hindi, English, Bengali, Udiya, Santhali, these are the languages. They can conduct the action research on these things. Then strategies to promote critical thinking in science lessons, the improving students participation through flipped learning. These days B.Ed and M.Ed courses are having the case study and action research in their syllabus. They have to conduct the action research in their part and parcel of the B.Ed program. So, every research is having its limitation, same as here with the action research also, it is also having some limitations. What are those limitations? These results are context specific and not always generalizable, and they are small researches, problem oriented, for a small space, individualistic, that is why it is not generalizable. Objectivity may be difficult because the researcher is also the participant of that research. The teacher who is conducting the action research, he or she is the participant, because he is observing, he is trying to solve his own problem. That is why some kind of biasness can come here. So, this is the limitation. The time constraint for busy teachers. This is actually this should be the at first place, because time constraints are very big limitation for the teachers. They know that if I will talk to the students, if I will ask them, if I will collect the viewpoint of a student, I can solve this problem. But teachers are so overloaded with the work that they are unable to conduct the action research. So, it may lack the technical rigor compared to the large scale studies also. Maybe teachers are not acquainted with the conducting the action research also. Maybe they are not interested or they are not able also. However, these limitations are outweighed and its transformative and empowering role in professional practice. If we are interested, definitely we can conduct, no problem, but many of us, due to the lack of time, are not ready to conduct the action research in their concerned departments or the school or university. So, here I have given the difference between the three types of the research: basic research, applied research and the action research, on the basis of purpose, setting, focus, researcher and the outcome. These are the criteria. You can see that this I have made a type of rubrics where the basis is one side and the three research types are there. On the purpose basis, basic research is develop theory, applied research tries to solve the problem, practical problem, and action research tries to improve the local practice, means immediate problem it tries to solve it. Then setting, what kind of setting is there? Controlled or laboratory setting environment is required for the basic research. Applied research is having school led or field based, and here action research is for the classroom or workplace settings. The focus is different in three type of researches, like in basic research the universal principles are the focus, in applied research general solutions is the focus, and in action research context specific improvement is the main focus of action research. Now, the researcher basis, the scientists or academicians are conducting the basic research, whereas the researcher or the practitioners are conducting applied researches, and the teachers or the practitioner at their workplace are conducting the action research. And the basis of outcome, the basic research outcome is theory building, the applied research outcome is policy or program development, and the action research outcome is immediate change and reflection or improvement in the given environment and solve the immediate problem. So, the cycle of the relationship of the three type of researches: theory is basic research, testing and application is applied research, improvement and reflection is action research, which may in turn lead to new theories and the cycle continues. So, in conclusion, we can say that the action research transforms the education from a static routine into a living process of self improvement and innovation. It empowers teachers to become researchers of their own practice, ensuring that teaching involved based on the reflections and evidences. Action research provides a mean by which practitioners can study their own problems scientifically in order to improve their own practice, and can say education is not preparation for life, education is life itself. Action research embodies this philosophy. It merges life, learning and improvement into one continuous dynamic process. So, here I have given few references for your further reading, and you can go through it. Keep going through the references, and I hope it will be helpful for your further readings. Keep learning. Thank you.